The Benny Gesserit.
Benny!
Anyway, it's the dreaded flashback episode, the one we all knew was coming because modern writers don't know how to not flashback, it seems.
However, it wasn't as bad as the infamous Acolyte flashbacks.
No, it wasn't that bad. It didn't destroy everything we'd thought.
I mean, I think it was a comment on our video. Like, I was enjoying the first one or two, but that third one really sunk it for me. And I'm going, okay.
I think it's the opposite for me.
I think this is the one I've enjoyed the most because it's simplified.
Yeah, it's mostly focusing on two sisters.
It's not fantastic.
I reckon it would be improved greatly if you cut out the future portions.
I think it would have been improved greatly if this was just episode 1 and this was the series.
And you still cut out the future, yeah. Actually, you could probably keep the future in because then it would be like mystery. You'd be like, oh.
Who's who?
Yeah.
But this was announced 5 years ago, this series.
Jesus. Wait, so Dune 1?
Alongside Dune Part 1, basically.
Oh, that's wrong.
And I think has had like 5 showrunners in that time. So it's been cycled through.
Wow.
So sometimes with this flashback stuff, and it went from being called Dune Sisterhood to Dune Prophecy. Yeah. So I think all that stuff with them younger is probably remnants from a series that was more focused on that.
Yep.
I think anyway.
That would make sense to me. It does feel like a completely different show because it doesn't add anything to the future portions. All you end up with is just like a good story. Well, I mean, again, it's not fantastic, but a focused story.
Something that I can grab onto, yeah.
And it needs such a convoluted segue that we start exactly where the last episode ended with Valya walking out, old Valya walking out. She's just been kicked out by Desmond Hart. And then she even says, this isn't the first time that my enemies have done something to me. And then it's like, it does the arrow, like, it doesn't quite, but like I was expecting it to look at a flashlight and then come back to another flashlight.
Yeah, we're basically contextualizing the decision of her leaving and walking to the Harkonnen apartment.
Yeah.
And it's basically, we got to contextualize this decision and why it's a big deal.
Even though by the end of the episode, I still don't really know why it's a big deal. Am I stupid?
Family hates her because...
like, she's going to use them and try to get their strength back, which was an avenue she wasn't using before.
And both her mum and dad are dead, but her uncle and her uncle's son are still alive.
Valya's story is pretty Like, she's kind of just there, and then... She's an underdog in this. Young Valya is way more likable than old Valya, because old Valya seems to have everything she wants.
Have you watched End of the Fucking World?
Yes. Oh, yeah, fantastic. She's great. It's a little dumb... I always go back and forth on this kind of thing. It's a little dumb that she invented the voice, but also the voice is the reason we're focusing on her. So if she didn't have the voice, maybe there wouldn't be a story based around her.
Well, it's another, you're peeking behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
You know, and the Benny Gesserits are maybe best left in the shadows. I haven't read the Frank book, so I don't know if he does go into it, but I don't think he does.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he keeps them pretty shadowed, and you know, when you watch the Denny film and it's like, or even the opening 10 pages of that where it's like, we're controlling the bloodline and stuff, it's all way more mysterious, where in this it just reveals we've got, you know, an AI running shit for us in the basement.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally doing what I said, how it's like, oh, what are these two people going to make? Oh, cool, don't like that, get another one, like just like testing. So I guess they're just randomly pricking everyone in the kingdom to like find out.
And then by inserting their Benny Gesserit powers into those situations, they could, because that's what we're seeing, that like in the film.
The AI is telling them what to do and then they're doing it realistically.
Where I'm pretty sure like the first line or the first paragraph, I mean, the first part of the book is him doing the test with the Benny Gesserit woman. It opens on two women having a conversation. And I'm pretty sure she's referred to as a witch. So it's like such a weird setup where it's this sci-fi setup, but then a witch has come to investigate
you
the
have
boy.
No idea what's going on.
And the film does a really good job, as we've already discussed, of still having that mystery, despite seeing it.
The show really liked that part, actually. They just took it. They just did the exact same shots of the mysterious ship arriving and then people walking out of it. The old lady makeup still looks horrible.
And you were completely right. It seems pointless that they've took a middle-aged woman and made her look 70 for just, so far, one Firefly battle flashback.
Yeah. Wrinkles don't make you old. Gravity does. Like, this is obviously a woman with like high cheekbones and like a good solid facial structure with just crackly wrinkles put on top.
Back to the Future 985 looked better than this, you know.
Yeah. She doesn't have sunken eyes.
Yeah.
She has like young lady eyes too. Like there's a look.
There's a look.
But we might get it eventually, but they definitely don't have it here, and I just found it distracting. Not that she's in all that much.
Even though I felt like I at least was the most almost engaged with this one as I was with the other than I was with the previous two. So an improvement there.
My main engagement was about halfway through the episode when we get Tula's story.
Yes, all this was pretty good, but because they're on a scale, you're having to do little things that maybe it's nitpicking, but like the opening scene with the flashback when she sits at the table with her family and basically has a as you know conversation. As you know, we were betrayed by the Atreides, and as you all know, I'm really shitty about it.
Which really makes it feel like this should be the first episode, because that's not an elegant way to get exposition out. I even wrote down, good, exposition lore episode.
Because they all know this already. Why are we discussing it like it's a fresh conversation?
But it is better than a voiceover.
It's better.
So, yeah, maybe I've just had my expectations lowered, but that was the weird thing, that it felt like an almost self-contained episode that was just crammed in episode 3, which would make sense in a 9-episode show where you're like, okay, we don't have time for this.
And even an episode of the brother venturing to the Atreides, because it goes from being... For a second, I thought she pushed him off the cliff.
Oh.
Because he looked like he was frozen.
Yeah, he just died. Yeah, and there was no visual
we had a whole discussion just 2 minutes ago about how he nearly died, and then now he is dead. It just felt a bit whiplashy. Yeah.
Well, that conversation was also very exposition dumpy.
Your voice was in my head, almost like it was commanding me.
It's like if I just started telling you, like, oh, do you remember yesterday when we did this? But we do that, but it's because we have cameras pointed at us, which is exactly what they're doing. And it's not well written. Like, it's also not like an epic monologue. Like, I've just finished watching Midnight Mass from 3 years ago.
Great series.
Very monologue heavy, but they're all very good monologues. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like...
Well, Game of Thrones at its best was monologues.
Oh, this felt very Game of Thrones because there's almost zero technology in the past sections.
And you have about 4 or 5 Game of Thrones actors wandering in.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
Including Bobby B, which I was pleased to see.
Oscar Tully. They're just getting the favourites back.
And he would work in like a cheaper version. If they decided to do Dune as a TV show, he would have been a Baron Harkonnen.
Full Harkonnen.
Yeah, he would have been Baron Harkonnen.
Harkonnen, sorry.
You say Harkonnen or Harkonnen?
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
I switch.
But so the brother dies just suddenly, like...
Yeah, apparently he went to the Atreides and got murked.
But we don't know who by. I mean, they say blah, 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 killed him. But it was vague enough that when all the Atreides rocked up in Tula's storyline, I didn't realize they were Atreides.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, until they start chanting Atreides.
I assumed it would, but yeah. But then, how did Tula get there?
They have space travel.
But did they say, Tula's going to go on an adventure?
No.
She's just there, right?
Yeah, we're in the future, and then we cut to her being on a forest planet.
Yeah, but basically with that, it's just her, like, plotting revenge and then feeling a bit...
I mean, executing revenge.
Executing revenge.
She's done it very well. It goes pretty hard, to be honest. Like, the skeevy uncle coming and talking to her made me not think they were Atreides, like, but it is the fact that, yeah, like, not all Atreides are good, because apparently they lied. I don't know if they actually lied about what the Harkonnens did.
But how awkward was it that he's like, I want to marry you, and then he even says the next morning, just some rivalry that we had.
Yeah, well, that's why it was quite good. He's like, she actually found the first decent man, but she, instead of falling in love properly, she used that to her advantage. So I'm like, damn, Tula is now my favorite character. Well, young Tula.
Yeah.
Old Tula. They did a little bit of a tropey. It was very much the Arrow. My current scenario is reminiscent of this previous scenario, because she's like, this almost dead young girl. This almost dead young horse.
Yeah.
Not young, but horse. And then she finds a way to put it down, I guess, that's more
humane than just stabbing it or something.
Yeah, she goes through all the, like, we should rescue it, which is what she's doing to the young girl at the start of the episode, which I didn't think would be dead, as far as, like, theory crafting. Like, again, it's just so light on anything you can do there. But the blue-eyed bartender goes to Valya and says, hey, the young girl back on home base did end up talking to her ancestors, and she said the key to blah, blah, blah is the person born twice, born in blood and then again in spice. And Valya's immediately like, that's Desmond. Oh, I figured it out. I'm so clever.
Looks like it's going to be her.
I don't know if it's meant to be very obviously, but yes, I feel like it has to be the young girl, because otherwise it's not interesting if it's just like, oh.
And even though Dune was big on prophecies, and obviously prophecies have been a trope before Dune, like it's King Arthur and stuff.
Yeah.
But, it's very like, born of mince, salt and smoke, Jon Snow, the prince that was promised.
I was going to say, this is very much... exactly House of the Dragon, the whole misunderstanding between Aegons. It's like, which person born in blood and spice?
Small aside, if I had a brain delete, like, who's that older woman hanging out with?
Oh, she's just another sister.
It's just another sister.
She rocks up in the second episode to check in on Tula, because she's sent by Valya to, like, spy on her sister to, like, make sure she's okay, because Tula's obviously a little bit more reserved. But that's all she's done.
Just felt like we were speed running through 2 interesting storylines.
You could make a whole series.
Maybe this was a whole series that would have ended with her maybe discovering her voice. Because I realised when I was watching the review, I was kind of contradictory going, why is it not just about the Bene Gesserits, but also we shouldn't need to, it should be mysterious. But I suppose, to correct that statement, if they're going to do this, they need to do the better version of it. And then if you're going to kill their mystique, you might as well just do the trope we all love.
Yeah, they're already doing it. It's called Dune Prophecy, so they might as well at least make it good rather than weirdly convoluted.
Yeah.
But you're right, it should be an entire 6 episodes of these 2 sisters, each doing their own path, meeting back up at the end. The weird thing about the voice is she already has it by the time this episode starts. Her brother tells her that she has it, basically. Sorry, her brother tells us that she has it because of the weird lore dump.
Yeah.
And it means she already knows the voice. She has nowhere to go with the voice. She doesn't discover the voice out of anything we see. It really is a, hey, remember that time you saved my life with the voice?
Felt like it might have been a cool flashback at the start of an alternate series of her using the voice for the first time and wondering what that was, and maybe
discovering her power.
Yeah, or because she feels this power, she wants more power. Because how pointless is it to be able to manipulate people, but you're a whaler?
Yeah, like in End of the Fucking World, she does play the childish very well, like the very annoying child that wants more out of life, even though she doesn't deserve it in any real way, and she's not promised that new life, but she's great at doing that. Like, I want more because I decided I want more.
Ultimately, I don't need to, and I don't want to know how the voice works. I don't want to see how their genetic, archives look. And I don't want to see them doing, bad karate forms in the rain.
They made the penis shape.
Yeah.
I get that they're meant to be they can go in once they accept their vow and decide sisterhood overall. But it's a weird amount of, do you want to stand in the rain? Are these people that we've only just met that torn between being in the sisterhood or leaving the sisterhood that they're willing to stand in the rain for hours and hours and hours?
And I definitely would have been someone who would just said it just to go back inside.
That would be what I would expect.
Did they say, we're going to know if you're being truthful or not because we're all truth sayers? It's probably, that's probably the undercurrent is we're going to know the truth.
That's probably meant to be a thing. Yeah, I don't know. No one gave up.
If only the show was holding my hand, holding both my hands, then maybe I'd like it more.
All we saw was just people slowly over time being you know what? I will be in the sisterhood rather than stand in the rain. So it wasn't as epic. I think they're meaning it to be this big moment.
She's kind of having an Arya Stark thing where she won't let go, she won't become no one.
Well, they both have. Tula does her Arya Stark arc.
Yeah, they both kind of share an Arya Stark.
That's it's a very Game of Thrones episode because they're all in fur coats and snow half the time.
With the Tula storyline, she decides to kill them all, bar Lord Tully. Lord Oscar Tully. He survives.
It's also, he was far away.
But she said leave. I suppose the Atreides continues with him then. He's the only
we can't kill them all off, I guess.
Yeah, but then there would have had to have been... I don't know how the Kieran Atreides relates to that massacre. I don't think he's going to be that lad because he would be too old because it's 30 years.
Correct.
But maybe this was the core, just a Atreides. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird.
They don't go into it because it's a surprise as to, they're Atreides, by the way, and I killed them all. It's up for interpretation, I guess, as far as whether they're all dead or whether only the core ones that,
obviously, we know the Atreides
that killed the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the group or the Tida family that killed the brother.
There is the scene where Valya, I forget what the context is, but she sees the bull,
Yeah, that's the white stag from House of the Dragon.
When I saw that, the bull is what killed Paul's grandfather, and his father, Leto, insists on bringing the bull with him. In the book, it's this great lesson, and you see the visuals of it. There's a model. Basically, he loved to do bullfights, and the bull pierced him.
Yep.
And you can even see in the film, the blood is still on the horn, and Leto is insistent that comes with him to Arrakis because it's this, it's this lesson of you get your hand too close to the fire. No matter how powerful you think you are, you can just get stabbed.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, is that meant to symbolise the death of the Atreides, the bull, the
I'm
killing?
sure Screen Rant has about 3 articles on it.
I'm sure Quinn's idea has broke it down for us. Do you think it's really the antithesis of a secret no-talkie room that you have to go to the secret no-talkie room and then a glowy secret don't look here, we're having a private conversation, glow appears.
Yeah. I love me a cone of silence.
How weird would that have looked to her when she where just inexplicably they both just start slapping each other and giggling about it? I just wish that they were expanded out more, like those characters. They're both just there, they're both studious, and they're both really happy and impressed that they're being manipulated, where you think most people would have what the mother's reaction was, a complete
like, that's spooky.
That's spooky. They're like, oh, this is awesome. Teach us.
We're going to be fucking wizards, bro.
How can you teach it? Because you go, oh, it's 20-odd thousand years in the future. They've figured out ways, like I think it's in the film and in the book, it's like, it's certain tones that can somehow...
Yeah, it's like the brown note, make you shit yourself.
Something to do with spice, probably.
The fact that Valya thinks she can teach it is an interesting, like, okay, why doesn't she think that's a genetic power like Desmond Hart can melt people?
So, because in the film, the implication is that you hear the voices of other characters, like it's from the previous, like when they open their eye, they open up their former memory. So it's like that power of your previous ancestors. So it's like you hear their voices.
Okay.
And when you listen to it in the cinema in a mix, you hear like 4 or 5 different voices.
Yeah.
So that like audio visual storytelling of... there's something weird to these guys, and I don't have to explain it. I just have to give a weird vibe.
Yeah.
But in this, it's like, no, it turns out one girl had the special technique and told everyone.
There's still mystery because they don't explain how. She just has it. I'm going to try it now. You ready? Subscribe.
You're actually pretty good at it, you are.
Did it work?
So, so she and her friends agree that, I'm going to be the chosen one because I've been like teacher's pet this whole time. She's going to make me the boss.
Yes, even though they've had one conversation.
And then she said, we're going to do dual mothers.
Yeah.
But she wusses out and goes, no, I can't do this. I have to go back home and seal the Harkonnen past for good.
Which makes sense because you're about to commune with your ancestors. You want to be like, hey, I avenged your death.
Well, here's this special substance we only administer in the controlled environment of Warlock 9. Just insert it whenever's convenient.
It was the ultimatum. Come back a reverend mother, or don't come back at all.
What if she used it and then didn't come back and was like, fuck
Everyone
it?
would be like, oh, whoopsies, that sucks. But it is kind of funny that like it's played up as this big choice, but what are her choices? She either goes back and gets power, or she like stays a whale farmer. Like, that was never a choice.
Valya's modern storyline is just she gets told and she thinks that she gets more confirmation that Desmond is a bad person and needs to be removed. And she travels up to the apartment.
You fucking hated that she went in a car on the street.
Look, I don't know. Once again, I don't know how the other worlds work. When I see the art of Dune and I see how it's described, and I just get the sense it's this alien weird world from the one book and the bit of Messiah I've read.
Yeah.
So then when you see like a street with a pavement with steps going up to a building with an elevator, I know it would exist in an imperium of thousands of planets.
But yeah, just the fact it's a skyscraper.
It's just a normal city, and it's not surprising that in the film you don't ever really see much details of that city in Americas. You fly over it, and I wouldn't be surprised because he didn't want it to be like, hey,
it affected
normal.
you greatly.
It's just because it looks... I know, once again, it's nitpicking. It just looks... It's meant to be this alien future, and yet here we are on a street.
Yes,
on the
a street
pavement
with trees and going up in an elevator to get to your skyscraper.
You just...
It's a bit more Blade Runner, as in like, 50 years in the future. Like,
You're right, exactly.
Like, cool. Well, that's crazy. They have really tall skyscrapers now.
And I think also, because someone will go, well, what would you do instead? And that's completely right.
It's
what
like,
would
no
I do
idea.
instead? I'd probably just dance around it like the 2 films did.
Yeah.
But,
but she goes to see Uncle Bobby B. And what do they talk about?
In the future, it's just, I never thought I'd fucking see you again.
So it's a setup for the next episode?
Exactly. Start the jazz before I piss myself.
It really does feel like the future portions were just the end of last episode that they just sprinkled throughout this one.
Yeah, because then, you're walking up going, who are these people? And you're right.
They did end on a cliffhanger last episode.
Yeah.
With the whole, like, get out. And she's like, whoa. But this is probably more dramatic because then it's her journey.
And the other big thing is that, what's her name? The sister, you better remember the name. Tula, that's it. She has kept alive the
acolyte.
The student who's basically her daughter. Because they love each other so well. They have all those scenes together being so close.
That girl does get a fair bit of development through episode 1 and 2. Like, we get a fair few scenes of her, but none of those are with Tula.
Yeah, my problem with that is that since you're starting with like 15 people, I don't know who to focus on.
She's one of the crew.
So I'm sure now, with the context that she becomes important, you can go back to them and go, oh yeah, they were doing stuff.
Yeah, but this episode would have been way stronger without those other bits. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about with this episode because it is all, it's mostly flashbacks and they don't affect the future.
It felt like a rest stop, but now your problem is I prefer and I'm way more invested in the younger versions of the Harkonnen sisters.
We've actually focused on 2 characters and we've like developed a bit of 2 characters, but then there's still a 30-year time gap.
And we've got 3 more episodes where I'm not sure how often we're flashing back now, if that was it. If we're just going to go full steam ahead now.
What other stuff happened to Tula and Valya in those 30 years? We don't know. We might never know. But like, did we just see the most pivotal moment for them? And then they just kind of hung out for 30 years?
It's weird because then we're looking at this flashback stuff, but then we have to remember the 10-minute info dump of episode 1. Then we know where it goes, that she does die. So then I was there going, all that should have just been in this episode.
That's why it should have been the first episode, yeah.
Yeah, or the first series. Like this could have been the first 2 or 3 episodes, and it ends with her going, kill yourself, and then the next 3, or, because I don't want to say it should have been 10 episodes, and it should have been 5 in the past and 5 in the future. I just felt like watching it, they had shot a lot more of the past stuff that we haven't seen. I got that sense. Maybe I'm completely off.
Well, it feels like, it feels like Valya and the Zealot woman, the daughter of Mother Superior, it feels like they should be competing to be in charge, and there should be a bit of tension between the 2 of them. Not immediately, oh, Mum died, I'm going to go destroy Mum's life's work. Oh, I'm going to kill you to stop you. Boom, that's sorted, over, and now Valya's in charge. Yeah.
Ultimately, this still isn't escaping the why is the why of this series.
Yeah, especially with halfway through.
Once again, if you liked the other 2, if you've liked the Dune films, borderline don't watch this, because it will actually kind of kill some of the mystique of those characters. It makes me go that Dune, clearly, I was all excited, and you fucking getting the receipts of me being fucking pumped. And in retrospect, maybe Dune just needs to be on the silver screen. It just needs to be.
It would be nice to have just a blockbuster franchise be a blockbuster franchise
and not be a universe.
Yeah,
even
though there's money,
and even though there's like 25 shit books beyond Frank's, 4 good ones
even
and 2
though it's
okay
franchisable.
Ones. Yeah, don't. And I guess is kind of because. Do you want to see a Butlerian jihad film? Like, do you want to see them doing Terminator, fighting AI? What's the point of that other than just whiz bangs,
I can't see a satisfying ending to this either. Like, there's no end point. It has the same problem that I had with House of the Dragon Season 2, where it's like, it's going to just kind of have to end at some point.
Like, are we setting up a Season 2? We surely are, right?
Again, I don't know, because if we have 10,000 years to play with, maybe. But, like, I don't know where it ends, and it's like, we don't have any main characters that need to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, the Bene Gesserit want to get the princess to be a Bene Gesserit and then to put her in charge, and then they're happy.
I'm not looking forward to next week having to worry about all that shit again.
But they're pretty much there. Like, they have everyone in agreement that she's going to be a Bene Gesserit, then she'll get married, then she'll become queen. Like, that's sorted. So Valya's goals are technically done, unless you want to skip forward till she has a baby.
But now haven't they got rid of that? Like, the king, the emperor more or less has said, hey, I'm now with this guy with his fire powers, fuck the Bene Gesserit. It's them condensing down something that was probably 10 episodes 5 years ago or something,
It should also span like 60 years, because like, if she needs these people to have children and then the next person to have children and manipulation slowly over time, how do I do that in 6 episodes?
Well, that was also something I would like to explore in Valya. The whole people always want to bring about the great change in their lifetime, but the moles you see in these stories of leadership is sometimes you've got to just plant the seeds and hope the next guy keeps it going. And with Valya, who seems to be I always get the sense she's very much as selfish. It's still that element of Harkonnen, and I'm going to be the Harkonnen who did it right. But then the fact that she is a mortal person who will die. I think the spice, at least in both versions of the film, the Emperor's shown to be an old man, but in the book, he's middle-aged, and the spice does extend life if you consume it. So maybe they do that, but still, the point
even then,
is,
it's not God King. She's not going to be around for 2,000 years.
So she's not going to see her plans come through fruition unless she exists through what we see that the sisters exist through the memories.
Which means we can't really see her plans come to fruition. So it's like, Oh.
Yeah, but that was it. It's that this idea that she's speed running these things because she wants to see it happen.
Yeah. Even with speedrunning, she has to watch a person grow up, have another child.
Yeah, because the obvious thing seems to be that Tula's going to end up killing her sister because they already had a little bit of friction, but who knows if it's going to go that far.
I mean, not enough reason unless Valya wants to kill the daughter.
Yeah.
And then Tula's like, don't kill my daughter. Then I guess they could fight.
This was probably the best shot one just because we weren't in shit club scenes. Just because we were in the better sets. Like the Wallach 9 set is the best looking set. So being around there feels pretty cool. You have to be at Hogwarts for Harry Potter to be interesting. Do you have to be on the planet Arrakis for Dune to be cool?
For the most part, potentially, yeah. Like, that's the draw.
That's me done, more or less, for a month.
Yeah.
Because I'm going off on my adventures.
Euro trip.
A Euro trip. And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. It's been a good year, you and I. 4,000 subs.
Pretty
Thanks for having me on.
much 4,000 in a year. It's worked out all right.
Pretty good. Yeah, see you on the next one, guys. Thanks.
Was this an up episode for you or a down episode? Like, it did stall the momentum for me, but also it gave me a better story that I enjoyed more than the first two. So if anything, I liked it more, but it makes me dread the next three a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.